Welcome back into Buccaneers Total Access. First half of the show, we had head coach Todd Bowles. Now I'm so excited to be joined by cornerback coach Kevin Ross. Coach, thanks for being with me.
More than welcome.
And man, you got a great game to come in here to talk about afterward. After the last few coaches had drawn the short straw on that front, but you get to talk about a big win here. And I'd just love to hear what this win meant to the team, what it felt like, in the locker room afterward, and just knowing what it had been like these last few weeks before to get that win.
We just talked about doing our job. We just talked about getting on track and stacking W's, 1 week at a time. We understand our situation, and we're just going to try to approach it 1 week at a time, one day at a time, get it done.
What did you feel like the attitude and the mindset was this last week going into this game, where coming off a losing streak but also coming off the bye week? What did you see from the players this last week?
I thought they really needed to get away from football a little bit because of what was going on. But at the same time, you're anxious to get back at it because you don't want to go on the bye week with a sour taste in your mouth. I thought they handled it right. We prepared very well during the week, and the results showed. I
know you guys as coaches also tend to do some self-scouting during the bye week of what the team's doing. Was there anything that you felt like you or the rest of the coaches kind of discovered during that time, or anything that stood out to you that maybe you guys were? Yeah.
Tackling is huge in our ball games. Tackling and people just trying to do other people's job. You just got to focus on doing what you do, and tackling. That was the big issue.
I know that defensively, man, what a game for you guys. I mean, allowed just 45 yards of offense for the Giants in the first half, fewest allowed by us in any half this season, fewest in any half since 4 years ago. How were you guys able to just get off to such a great start and hold them to so little, especially early on?
I thought they played pretty hard. I thought they played what they seen. Again, the tackling was pretty good at that time. Execution on defense was pretty good.
And then I know for you guys, at some point you learned that it's not Daniel Jones, that instead it's Tommy DeVito. What does that mean for you guys in terms of game planning and coaching during the week I know there's even things like little tendencies you guys try to pick up. So when you suddenly get a different quarterback like that, but also maybe they aren't going to change their whole offense, how do you guys try to adjust to that and make up for some of that?
Oh man, me personally, I don't like that scenario. I don't like to play against somebody I really haven't seen, or they didn't play this year, and they're rallying around a guy that, hometown hero type of guy. Watched this tape from last year. They ran all kind of gadgets, reverses, quarterback draws, things like that. You got to prepare for everything. It's a team that has nothing to lose, and when you play in that kind of team, it's a dangerous team.
We're talking to cornerback coach Kevin Ross. I know coming into the game, DeVito had the highest sack rate of any QB going back to the start of last season. So I know this was definitely something that you guys were going to be able to take advantage of. And then we saw a 78% blitz rate in the first half of that game. Coincidentally, I'm sure. Compared to normally you guys average 32% so far this season. Tell me about that aspect of the game plan and specifically what that can mean for your guys over there in the secondary.
Well, I knew going into the game, and I told the guys during the week, Coach Bowles is not going to lay back on this guy and let this guy just, pick and choose where he wants to throw the ball at. We're going to force him to get the ball at his hands. We just knew that we had to handle Neighbors and the other guys to, limit the catches and the yardage they catch after.
Yeah, and tell me about facing Malik Neighbors and another, a rookie where you only have so much NFL game film on him, but what you'd seen from him maybe in college and then even to now of what you guys knew you were going to be dealing with and facing back there.
And he's a guy that can run all patterns, he's a game-breaking type of guy. Those guys handled him pretty well, though. I thought they did a nice job against him.
I know that Vita and Kalijah, incredible game for them and an incredible season for them so far. They're just really doing incredible. The two of them both leading the team in sacks with 6 and 5 each, so 11 collectively. How does that affect the rest of the defense, what you guys are able to do, your guys specifically, when not only are they playing well, but they are really getting to the quarterback from the interior at that high of a rate?
It should help out our outside guys if they're pushing the pocket really, really well. should help our outside guys out. And it helps us out because the quarterback starts watching the rush instead of reading the coverages and things like that right there. So they're doing a good job that way. It should help out everybody, coverage, other outside rushes as well.
I know also the offense, they got out to such a fast start and in really long drives, a lot of times converting a lot of third and fourth downs, staying on the field. How much did that contribute to what you guys were able to do and this game plan you were able to enact that you wanted to against the Giants?
Oh, I feel great. Anytime our offense takes the first drive and scores or moves the ball like they did, just gives you overall team confidence. You feel differently about the game right off the bat when that happens.
I know we normally ask offensive people about this, but I'd love to hear your thoughts too on the way that Baker, especially in this game, the word that just keeps coming to my mind is moxie, that the way that this guy plays, the scrambling, and he's getting in a skirmish on the sideline, and he's out there blocking for Bucky, and just that whole attitude that he brings. We know how it seems to affect the offense in some ways, but do you also see it having an effect on the defense and those guys out there?
I think that when Baker does what he does like that, it affects the whole team. We take on a different personality, moxie, swag, whatever you want to call it. He has it. I hate to say that on camera, Baker, but you do have it.
Yeah, you don't want to have to admit this.
Yeah, because I don't, me and him have a thing with colleges with Temple and Oklahoma and everything. So,
yes.
But anyway, yeah, he's playing really well. He's doing really well, and the guys are rallying around him pretty good.
And I know that, it's been interesting for the offense, missing some guys. I mean, I know the defense has dealt with this as well, but when you've been watching, the offense in practice going up against them or even in games, what have you seen letting them have so much success, running the ball? And then this last game, 5 different players with over 25-yard catches in the game and 11 different players making a catch. As you look at that from a defensive perspective, what have you seen that has allowed them to be able to do that, even missing some key guys?
Then you have to prepare for everything and everybody, and that's totally different. Since I've been here, we've never ran the ball like we have. Bucky, Shad, and all those guys are doing a great job doing that. The line is doing an outstanding job blocking. The coaching is putting guys in the right spots and things like that. So it's congratulations to them. They're doing a hell of a job. They really are. They're doing really good.
And then tell me about the decision recently to re-sign Mike Edwards. What was some of the motivating factors for that, the things that you guys felt like he'd be able to contribute at this point in the season, of course, even before Jordan's injury, of just the ways you were hoping to use him when I think some people were like, well, wait, you have Jordan, you have Antoine, what are we signing him for exactly? And then we saw in the game that there was some unique plans for that.
Mike's a playmaker. Yeah, period. He's just a playmaker. He's around the ball a lot, and that's why he's back. He understands high-level performances, and he does it pretty well.
So what was sort of the plans for him pre-Jordan's injury, and then now if Jordan is going to miss some significant time, how does that affect and change what you guys might be able to do?
Well, we got this next man up theory, and unfortunately, I hope Jordan's not hurt very seriously, but it's always the next man up theory. We don't really change what we do. We just do it with the people we have, and that's where the coaching part comes in. And we try to get people prepared to play right now. Can't wait. You got to go right now.
And then, Mike, I feel like I don't have a stat to back this up, but I have to imagine that per snap played, his interception rate has to be one of the highest
up there
in NFL history.
It's definitely up there.
So tell me why you think he has been so good at that. And I'm sure every player in the secondary is like, how do I get that?
Like I said, he prepares well. He understands what the offense is trying to do. He has really good hands, and he just has a knack for playing certain coverages.
How do you guys feel about the turnover rate as a whole that you guys have been forcing as a defense, and then maybe specifically on the interception front of how you guys feel like you are at this point in the season, or what you would be wanting in those areas?
Interception-wise, we have to improve. We've had our hands on balls. We just need to catch the balls. The other day, for instance, they went for it 4th and 1, 4th and whatever, a time or two. It's like a turnover if we stop them. Mm-hmm. So the stats don't show turnovers, but you know.
Right.
We consider that to be a turnover. If you don't make it on fourth down,
Yeah,
it's
turnover on downs,
yes.
yeah. Okay. And then I know that you mentioned earlier the tackling being one of the big areas you guys had noticed during your self-scouting. How do you work on that when that's something that, again, especially at this late in the season, you guys are not going to be full on tackling each other in practice? There's a lot of rules all season, even going back to the off season, about the level of contact. What are the ways you guys as coaches try to improve an area like that that is very hard to practice?
Well, you have to do big time simulation out there on the field. We keep emphasizing bringing your arms, bringing your feet, keeping your head up, see your target, running through your target, right, making sure you're wrapping up and everything. A lot of guys, a lot of teams are starting to punch at the ball more than tackling the guy, and that's what's causing a lot of the issues.
I know we talk a lot about the offensive line being the unit that needs maybe the chemistry the most and how important it is for them to communicate, but I know the secondary is probably just as much that case. And going into this season, you know, you guys had your starters planned of your corners, your safeties, nickel, and that first game is it. That's all you've gotten with those original planned guys. That after that, it was just all sorts of injuries all over the place, moving people around. Explain how hard that is, both in terms of just one-to-one replacing a Jamel Dean with someone else, but then also how it affects the rest of the defensive back unit when someone else subs in.
I don't know how you do it. It's just a lot of communication going on back there. It's more important than what the offensive line actually does, because
we'll see if they agree with you.
Yeah, well, one mistake back there, that's what I keep trying to emphasize to these guys. They make a mistake outside, that could be 6. A linebacker or a lineman makes a mistake up front, somebody can cover that. But outside, you're not covering a whole lot of things out there. That could be instant 6.
Yep. And so basically all these injuries, it's that communication side.
Communication side of it, and then you get as many reps as possible with the backups in there. So we try to do it like that.
I'm sure it's been a fun adventure for you guys so far this year. As a coach, what is the biggest challenge for that for you, even of having to consistently be bringing in different guys all over the field, that it's not even just one player, it's been everybody at some point?
I never worry about their physical ability. I always worry about their mentality. The mentality out there, the confidence, having the confidence to go out there in the middle of a game, at the end of the game. That's pretty tough to go in there in that kind of situation when you're playing number 1 guys outside. That's pretty tough.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here on Buccaneers Total Access, brought to you by Advent Health. This is Buccaneers Radio. Welcome back into Buccaneers Total Access. First half of the show, we had head coach Todd Bowles. Now we are joined by cornerback coach Kevin Ross. So we talked about right before the break all those different injuries you guys had in the DB units, but you got Jamel back this week. What was that like for you guys to get him back, and how nice was that to have him out there again?
It was pretty good to have the band back, you know. This is the first time, I think, since maybe week 1 or 2 that we had everybody out there. Not really,
still
because
no
Tyke, so
Yep.
hopefully he gets back soon. We're going to need him. He's a really good player as well. But like I said, chemistry is everything back in the backfield. That's the most important thing.
So what did having Jamel back give you, and what did you most miss when you didn't have him, of him specifically compared to even some of the other injuries of what he brings?
I think he installs confidence. I think when all the guys are out there, I think they just are very confident in what each other can do, and they play off each other and they feed off each other. When another guy comes in, then you always feel like you got to help that guy out because he hasn't seen as much as the other guys have, or done as much as the other guys have. So that's the biggest thing to me.
And what did you see specifically in this game against the Giants from him?
Well, he's very confident right now. He plays with very good confidence. He did some good things. Got to get back into the flow of everything, but he did some pretty good things for us.
How had he been playing prior to the injury? What did you notice from him this season overall?
Well, I've been telling him since he's been playing, if he catches half the balls that he puts hands on, he leads the league in interceptions.
Yeah.
And that's the major difference between him and, say, whoever's leading the league right now in interceptions. He catches that ball, he leads the league in interceptions.
So basically he's in the right position most of the time.
Most of the time he's in the right position.
And then we brought up the idea that Tyke has been missing. I know that without him in there, what all does that do to the rest of the group and the ways that you're having to maybe sub in, Christian Izzian or other people that Tyke has proved to be such a big playmaker and bring a lot of unique skill sets to the game. So without him, how does that affect everything else you guys try to do?
He has versatility. He's very instinctive player, good tackler, really good in space. I think him and Izzy are very similar. They're versatile. They can go to safety, nickel. They can do some things. So when we get those two guys healthy and have the whole secondary back there, we got to get some guys who can do a lot of things.
Tell us about Tyke's mindset, IQ, all of that coming in as a rookie, because I feel like I heard Coach Bowles praise him a lot, which Coach Bowles is not always the most forthcoming
no, he's not.
with compliments. So when he said that, my ears perked up of like, wow, this is, and for a rookie, nonetheless, it's not like we're talking Levante David here. So what was it that Tyke brought, did, showed, especially in the offseason, to already be earning that kind of praise?
He doesn't have any anxiety problems. He accepts challenges. He's very calm. He knows what he's doing. He's one of those guys you can tell him once what to do, and it's a done deal. You don't have to keep repeating yourself about, you need to do this, you need to do that. He's pretty good at that.
And what is specifically the IQ part and maybe the things that are asked of a nickel in this defense? Because we also hear Coach Bowles' defense not the easiest to pick up or learn, pretty complicated. And so to have a rookie, and it's specifically at the nickel, what are some of the complicating things about being in Todd Bowles' defense and what you would have to learn at that spot?
Well, coming from Georgia, he kind of plays similar schemes. So he kind of it's kind of like a carryover for him. He's not really learning anything different. He's just doing it on a different level. So he's schooled. He's like a seasoned player, really.
Yeah. What were the things that he was being asked to do at Georgia that would translate well?
The underneath coverages, he can what he does is he sees the field really well. He sees the formation very well. He understands pattern recognition very well. You know what I'm saying? Some things you just can't teach. He's on top of that. And
so what would you say if you're building a nickel in this defense? What are the traits?
You better be able to tackle. You better be able to blitz. And you better be able to pattern read underneath. And
then I know for him, he's also been able to not just cover well, but forcing a lot of fumbles, making some really big game-changing plays. What have you seen about him that has allowed him to be doing that, of not just kind of I'm not getting burned, but I'm being able to cover and also still aggressively make some of those plays and make a huge impact in certain games?
Antoine Winfield, Whitehead, let's see who else. Those two guys in particular, they finish on the ball every day, and it just carries over to the games.
So basically the way that they're practicing, you're seeing that translate. Yeah. That's interesting. Yes. What are you still working on with Tyke moving forward?
Tyke, just finishing plays, and it's a long season for a rookie. I mean, it's getting ready to get to the point where it's wow, how long is this going to be?
Yeah.
But we just got to get him back healthy. You get him back healthy and get him on the field and understand that now the level of play, you think it's fast now. Well, if you get into the playoffs, it's going to be faster. So.
And then you mentioned Christian Izzian stepping in for him. He's had to step in all over the place.
He's even played corner, so
yeah. He's been this little Swiss Army knife for the defensive backs.
Right now, he might be MVP.
Look at that. That's saying something. And then this game, he led the team in tackles with 10. Why has he been able to step in at nickel, corner, safety, all in a matter of a couple weeks at times?
It's like I said, it's not too big for him either. He accepts the challenge. Prepares very well. Coach Rapone does a nice job with him. Rashad does a great job with him. He has it. He's a great tackler. He normally stops you on contact. He's one of the best tacklers we have, I believe.
For people who might be saying, we're talking to cornerback coach Kevin Ross. For people who might be saying that, it's all defensive back positions. How big of a difference can it really be of nickel to outside to safety? What would you say to people to make them understand how difficult it is what Christian has been asked to do this year?
Wow. it's a scary feeling. I can just tell you this. It's a very scary feeling being out there and outside. If you have not played out there, I hear a lot of things out there about, how they should do this and how they should do that. That's a stunt man out there. One bad move out there, you make a bad move, you're dead.
Mm-hmm. Just the mental aspect of that and the pressure.
Of it. Just that, you get beat. Like I said, you could have a guy covered, the quarterback gets out of the pocket, throws a long ball. Oh, where's the defensive back? Blah, blah, blah. They only see the end results of the play. They don't see the whole play. They don't see what happened, why it happened, why he did what he did.
What are the biggest things that you're still working on with Christian at this point?
All of them, just making plays. Everybody, I want everybody to realize that, you're right there on that receiver, just making plays, finishing plays. Jamal did a nice job the other day of punching the ball out on Neighbors. He could have recovered that ball had he finished that play.
And then I know you mentioned before the start of last season, you'd said, you did your little prediction in there that Zion was going to be the most improved guy on the team. And I think that you ended up being right. I think that's...
He's been working very hard every day. I don't have to tell him what to do, how to do it. He's been out there preparing. I'm very proud of what he's done thus far. He's even going to get even better.
What was it about him that gave you the confidence to say that all the way back last year, and then how you felt like coming in this year that he seemed, even compared to then, of the growth that has happened even since you made that statement?
Well, we talked about being a pro and been talking about being a professional. We talked about it's just not good enough to accept the lifestyle of a pro. You have to prepare and be a professional in all phases, on and off the field. He does a great job with it. I'm very proud of him. And
what is his sort of attitude and mindset and what he brings to the group? Because I feel like there are some, shall we say, stereotypes about cornerbacks, and I feel like Zion does not fit most of them in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So tell me how unique he is in that area.
He's not a cocky person, but he's a confident person. He has all the attributes to be a great corner, and it's starting to show. He too, all he has to do is catch the balls that's thrown to him, and he'll be in the top as well.
All right, we're going to take another quick break here on Buccaneers Total Access. We're talking to cornerback coach Kevin Ross, brought to you by Advent Health. This is Buccaneers Radio. Welcome back into Buccaneers Total Access. First half of the show, we had head coach Todd Bowles, and now we are talking to cornerback coach Kevin Ross. So for Zion this year, you talked about the fact that he has, the right attitude and work ethic. What are some of the tangible kind of X's and O's of it, of what he's been really, really good at, and then what you're also still working on with him?
Well, let's talk about the bad first. We had to tackle better, which he did this past week. He tackled a lot better. It's not that he's not a willing tackler, it's just his technique. Other than that, like I said, finishing on the ball. And you say, well, what? You keep saying finish on the ball, catch the balls. These guys actually do a lot of ball drills, but I think they get so excited when they have the opportunity that they don't focus the way they need to focus on the ball at the end. And that's where they have to have, a calmness about them to go ahead and catch the ball. They need to talk to Mike Edwards about it, because he does it very well.
Yeah. And then I know you also ended up having Josh Hayes getting thrown into the mix there for a little while. What did you notice from his play and him trying to handle being, again, thrown in there in some pretty crazy situations?
He's probably the most physical guy we have in the back end as far as corner goes. He too has to realize, like, when to do certain things. It's a way to do certain things and how to use it. And then the only thing that is going to teach him that is game experience. And that's what happened with Funderburk as well. These young guys, they just have to go through some of the experiences of playing corner out there. There's no substitute. I can't read the things to you to say, okay, and when they do this, you do that. You have to actually go through it.
And do you feel like that is true of corner maybe more than a lot of other positions, even, of where there's just no way to simulate it?
There's no doubt. It's like quarterback. They hear about pressures and what to do with the ball, and until you actually go out there and do it, then you will not get better at it.
I know that Funderburk was a guy here, he's undrafted. Already the odds are stacked against you at that point to make the roster. And then he ends up also being hurt some during the preseason, which I'm sure also didn't help with that whole experience part of it. But even through that, he showed you guys enough that you said that this guy is worth a roster spot, even as an undrafted guy who missed some time in the preseason. When he was available in the offseason, what was it about him that made you guys say, we see something that this is a guy who's worth one of the 53?
If you watch his college tape, he's very instinctive. He was always in a good position to make plays. Again, what you said was the most important thing was he didn't have enough time on the grass in the preseason to feel some things out. And now he's got to, he's going to be baptized in real games, unfortunately.
Yeah. What is it that you've seen that he's done well in the time that he's gotten in there?
He too, like I said, he can see the field very well. It's just this, I can't explain it. It's just you have to actually go through it.
Yeah.
And these lights versus the game lights, it's like a different type of deal. And like here, I keep telling these guys here, we can do it over again. Over there, we can't do it over again.
I know we kind of talked about building the nickel of what it would need to be in Coach Bowles' defense. We've definitely seen a certain body type that is what he likes in an outside corner. Tell me the physical traits that he likes and wants in his defense, and then just overall, if you're building what it takes to be an outside corner in Coach Bowles' defense, what does that look like?
Two things. Number one, you can't give up with the big play. Number two, if you're 5'9", 5'8", you better play 6'2", because that's what he wants.
Yeah.
So you got to play big out there. You just can't give up big plays right off the back. These corners that play here in Tampa, they have to be very versatile in coverages. We play a ton of coverages. We play more probably than anybody else in the NFL.
And I know it seems like Jamel and Zion are maybe two of the most athletic corners out there. I mean, the speed, length, height combination is pretty incredible. What does that allow for you guys to do? How does that change the dynamic compared to, like you said, a 5'9", 5'10" corner and what that ends up looking like?
Well, Coach Bowles believes in first stopping the run, and when you're doing that, then you're putting 8-man fronts together a whole lot, which puts more pressure on the outside guys. So those guys understand that. That's what we talk about. That's what we preach about. Sometimes they're involved with the run, even when the receivers are cracking back on the linebackers or safeties. We have to replace. Sometimes they have to take on guards. Sometimes they have to take on tight ends. Sometimes they have to take on fullbacks. Does not matter. They can't pick and choose how they're going to do it.
I know you guys also, we're talking to cornerback coach Kevin Ross, decided to sign Troy Hill. Tell us a little bit about him, the decision to bring him in, and what his kind of history and experience is in this league.
Well, that's it right there, experiences. He's got 9 or 10 years in the league right now, so he's seen it. He's seen just about everything. And that's what kind of guy you want when you get ready to finish up the season that we are. Right now we're chasing first place, and we need good players to finish up.
So what are some of his biggest skill sets on the field of the type of corner he would be?
I think he plays smart. You know what I'm saying? I think he understands what people are trying to do to him, and so he can counter mentally by just recognizing formations and playing against the other guys. He knows body types, he knows speed, he knows when to do things and when not to do things.
I know that sometimes when players get injured before the season ever really starts, we can almost forget that they were originally on the roster and part of the plan. And Bryce Hall was definitely a guy that you guys had some higher hopes for, and then to unfortunately lose him before things really even got going. How much did that play into just the overall plans of this depth and who ends up being in there when you thought this was your primary kind of backup going into the season? How much did you guys end up missing him?
Bryce had played some good ball in New York. Watched him on tape. Thought he would be an excellent guy to fit in here. He was, up until he got hurt. He's a guy, again, that prepares very well, understands what you're trying to do, understands what he needs to do to stop you. We miss him.
And then I know you guys are now about to take on the Carolina Panthers, and I feel like, unfortunately, you're about to take them on at a time where they seem to be figuring things out.
They're getting hot, right?
It's a little unfortunate on that front. What do you notice about them now versus the beginning of the season, even if, like you said, they're starting to get hot, they're playing the Chiefs down to the last minute, and how different they already seem to look as a team as compared to week one?
Dave's done a great job with the quarterback. That's the biggest difference. The quarterback's getting rid of the ball. He's not panicking. He understands where to go with the ball. They're not giving up the ball a whole lot like they have been in the past. And so we'll have our hands full come Sunday.
Yeah, and tell us about some of their wide receivers and weapons that they have, of what that's going to look like for you guys to try to cover.
Well, they've had some injuries as well. Their receivers are very reliable. They have a couple that were here, so we know them. We know more. We know Tompkins. Legit, we had to figure out what's up with him. They got a nice little base going on.
When you are familiar with a coach the way you are Dave Canales, of, you know, you've obviously gone up against his offense in practice a lot, been around him a ton, know what he likes to do, but then he, I'm sure, feels similarly about y'all's defense and your personnel there. How does that tend to play out? Does that become kind of a big chess match, or is it, you know, how much does the familiarity there factor in, and how do you guys try to, you know, have an advantage to go beyond that?
Well, I know Coach Bowles, and basically what we're trying to do is just get guys in position to make plays, and then it's up to the player to make them aware of what they like to do in certain situations, and it'll come down to between the players. That's basically what it's going to come down to. Our players making plays and stopping their guys, period.
Do you have certain goals for your position room throughout the rest of the season?
Yes, I do. Yeah, no more missed tackles. We need probably another 15 interceptions before the season's over with, and if we can do that, then we'll be okay.
For you, as a coach who played in the league, what are the ways that you feel like that influences the way you coach, and sometimes the difference in coaches who did or didn't play at this level? What are some of the unique things that you think that helps you do with your players?
I just know that when we take the ball away, it demoralizes the confidences of the offenses. It brings you more confidence on defense. And it's like I tell these guys, you know, make them work for everything. Make them work for everything. Regardless of what happens, just keep going to the next play.
And if you were to think about what makes a player a potential good coach someday, that not every player would make a good coach.
Yeah, well, we got like 3 or 4 of those guys that could coach in this league.
Yeah?
Right,
who do you feel like it would be?
Zion could coach right off the back. Dean could coach off the back. Hall could coach off the back. And I think Tyke could do it.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that makes sense.
Tyke could do it.
And what is it about those different guys that makes you say that? What are those?
They have great
qualifying
demeanors.
things?
They have great demeanors. They have great patience. Their temperament is good. They don't get rattled very fast. And our position, you have
Gotta have that
crazy
mental side.
guys, yeah.
Yeah. For you, when did you think that you wanted to coach, or that you would be good at coaching?
Oh, wow. My story is crazy. I started out doing high school stuff, which I loved. I thought that was the best job I've had. Then a friend of mine wanted to go to the pros, and we just drove down to Alabama to see, how we could get involved with it. I ran into a guy, Coach Mike Tice, who I played against when he was playing in Seattle. He asked me what I was doing. I said, I'd love to do what you're doing. And he asked me to give him a call. I gave me a internship, and you know what it was? I gotta thank Antoine Winfield's dad, because he was a part of the process.
Wow.
He was there coaching, and he was playing in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So I had the opportunity to do it. They liked what I was doing. They liked what I was saying, and he said it. My players like you. Think we can work something out.
That's awesome.
And that's how it worked out.
I love that. That's great. Well, Coach, thank you so much for the time. I know you guys are busy trying to get everybody ready to go for this next week, so we always appreciate you spending the time with us and chatting with everybody.
Thank you.
All right, and thanks to all of you guys for listening as well. That has been Buccaneers Total Access, and we are brought to you by Advent Health. This is Buccaneers Radio.